Good day to our viewers of the Eastern Cape Department of Education. Abakhasi nabalandeli bethu bekhasi lethu lezonxibelelwano all platforms. Siyanibulisa. I am Sipovela, your host for today's Wednesday podcast. And today, as you can see, I'm not alone. We have been graced to have a director of our stakeholder management and citizen care services, Udada Chris Mdingi. As they are watching at home.
Greetings to the viewers and to yourself. Yes. And it is my pleasure to have you in your show. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. And to our viewers today, we are talking all things about Eastern Cape Education Advisory Council, ECAC.
Yes.
So we are talking about that today. Please, Dana, if you can, just give us the background about the ECAC.
Alright. ECAC is an abbreviation of the Eastern Cape Education Advisory Council. And this council started sometime in 1999, as promulgated by the Act Number 1 of 1999, under the auspices of the then Honorable Mr. Kowase, who was then an MEC at the time. And his brainchild became a reality because it was embraced by everybody inside and outside the department, that indeed there was a dire need for the Eastern Cape, at least at that time, to have an advisory council so that the MEC moves from an informed position and does not move solo, as if he could envisage the time that we are in now, where we say education is a societal matter and we need everybody to be hands-on, because you would have so many stakeholders who partake in the advisory council to the MEC. Others would call him a member of the executive council, the MEC. And currently we have the Honorable Kade, who is our MEC. Basically what the ECAC seeks to achieve is to assist the MEC in matters that relate to policy, lest he sets or she sets his or her foot wrongly, because it may be a she tomorrow, but for now we say he. Two, besides the policy issues, there is legislation that governs the Department of Education entirely. You may find things in that space like your Schools Act, South African Schools Act. There are clauses there and sections that sometimes when applied may not be applied in the manner in which they're supposed to be. And when implemented, some other people may not feel good about them. Therefore, the MEC would require some kind of putting more heads together so that he approaches the situation in a more acceptable way other than moving solo. So basically we want to have a Department of Education that does things the right way and ceases to just plan, because your ECAC is meant to meet on a quarterly basis. And when meeting on a quarterly basis is supposed to engage on all the reports that the MEC would make, as well as the HOD, on whatever aspect that has found expression in that particular quarter. And even itself, the ECAC is supposed to come up with views and ideas that would kind of speak to whatever the MEC was dealing with in that particular corner, as a way of trying to advise perhaps as how best can the matter be attended to or be approached.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarity as well there. Can I ask you one last question? Does the department have specific objectives in mind concerning the ECAC?
Yes. You would understand the clarion call that is out there is to say education is a societal matter. when you involve everybody who's got an interest in education, it becomes much easier for the MEC to handle many of the things. Others which may have a potential of surfacing or of presenting themselves as challenges that will bring the department to its knees might be averted on the basis of the existence of the ECAC. Because from all those walks of life, from business, from faith-based organizations, NGOs, student movement, unions of the workforce, you name them, they are partaking institutions of higher learning. And that, when brought all together, tends to have that vigor to make sure that the department takes the right direction. And basically, the department doesn't want to go wayward, whilst it has a chance and an opportunity to make use of these people who are more than willing to work hand in glove with our MEC, so that we read from the same hymn book page, all of us, when we talk education matters in the Eastern Cape.
All right, thank you so much. What's happening around the issue of ECAC in East London tomorrow and Friday?
Yeah, as you pinpointed earlier on to say, there is history to the ECAC, in particular its existence. The last time for ECAC to have a new leadership was in 2019. And the term of office is guided by Act number 1 of 1999, Eastern Cape Education Act. Their term was supposed to have long ended. But people would recall that we were confronted by the dragon called COVID-19, which made things very impossible to renew the term of the ECAC. So it has only been in 2022 where the Eastern Cape Department of Education is led by the MEC Honorable Gade, did appoint. In fact, it started by issuing out an advert in the known newspapers in that space of the media. And the interested parties, they did apply, and shortlisting took place, and appointment letters were issued as well, appointing those people to serve in the ECAC. So after issuing appointment letters, the genuine expectation from anybody would be to say, when are we called either to a meeting or to any sitting? So tomorrow is the induction. That would start tomorrow, stretching to the 17th. Not only the 16th, but it's a 2-day affair wherein the newly appointed members of the ECAC would be inducted, as to, at the end of the day, come up with a POA, which is the program of action, so that at least they would move from an informed position and knowing exactly what are the expectations of the department, what are their functions, as stipulated, of course, in the act that I've mentioned, which is Eastern Cape Education Act number 1 of 1999, especially Chapter C, that talks volumes about their own responsibilities as the ECAC. Definitely in that activity of tomorrow and Friday, there would be presentations by all the DDGs. As you may know, there's DDG Curriculum, DDG IOM, DDG Corporate Services, as well as the CFO. They would all be making presentations tomorrow. And the reason behind them making those presentations is to alert and make the newly appointed ECAC members aware of the state of affairs in the Department of Education, Eastern Cape, so that they don't come up with far-fetched ideas, but they would move from a premise that is well informed about the state of affairs currently in the Department of Education. Besides those presentations, the MEC would have an opportunity to address them as the main speaker of the whole activity. But the tone, I must indicate up front that the acting HOD, Mr. Kwase Mahabandile, would set the tone tomorrow to say this is what the Department of Education aspires to achieve after the induction itself. So when a tone has been set, definitely people would move towards that particular direction, and there would be facilitation, of course, of that part which talks to breakaway groups, where in those breakaway groups, these small pieces of information will be put together to say what is it that they would wish to do, and when would be the soonest time for them to have their first meeting as the ICAC, so that it's not a monumental kind of arrangement to have induction or a malicious compliance on the side of the department to just say we have an induction of ICAC whilst the ICAC will become dysfunctional. Yeah. So we are trying to avert that from befalling the Department of Education. As we say, as we will be parting ways on Friday, we will be having in our gadgets and our files a clear program of action to be observed by the newly appointed members of the ICAC, out of which there will be an executive structure that would guide the moves of the entire leadership that will be advising the MEC, because the law prescribes that there has to be an executive and there has to be a general membership of the ICAC. If I may speak to the executive, it's made up of 6 people, wherein there will be a chairperson. The old language would say the vice, but we are saying the deputy chairperson, the secretary, and other 3 members that would be for to get to the total of 6 members who would be referred to as an executive structure of ICAC. That's the one that would time and again meet and evaluate whatever progress before taking to the general membership of ICAC. But the general membership of ICAC would only be called once per quarter, unless otherwise. Okay. So that's my submission concretely on what will be taking place. It's so exciting because it means the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape is serious about its own business, because qualitatively that's what we want to achieve. And as you can see, currently everybody is still in a joyful mood pertaining to the results. All is because of the leadership that knows its own story. So that's what we want to sustain, not to just start things and leave them unattended, because it has been a while not having an active ICAC due to COVID, as I indicated earlier on.
Wow, thank you so much.
The pleasure is all.
You heard it yourself. Tomorrow it's happening in East London. What time?
We are starting registration at 8 o'clock to 8:30, and immediately after 8:30, the first person, definitely the program directors, because it will be directed by the 2 chief directors, Mr. Mpupu, who is based in the office of the HOD, as well as Mr. Nomeni, who is the chief director in the chief directorate of the stakeholders and the communication. So that tells you that we mean business, because we decided to pitch it to the level of the chief directors, so that everybody can see that we are not taking this matter for granted. We mean business, because we want our Department of Education to continue to be on the rise, as we all know that we are on the upward trajectory, and the results of the Grade 12 learners are telling the story.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mdingi, for your time. And also like to say thank you to the viewers at home. Siyabulela kakhulu for taking time in engaging. Please, if you can, please do like our page and subscribe on our social media platforms. Please make sure that you do subscribe and like on our platforms. Thank you so much, Mr. Mdingi.
You're most welcome.
For your time.
You're most welcome.